Now that we have set up our Pi with a new host name and with a static IP, we are ready to open Chrome and access our Pi through the Chrome interface. And there's a few settings we got to do before we can use it. So we're going to go to Chrome. We'll just open a new browser window. And what you're going to do is type in Pi at 192.168.1. Whatever IP address you assigned it and hit enter. It takes it a minute to think, but then it loads Octoprint. And the very first time you do this, you'll come into a setup wizard. And these are some things that we need to go through. So it's a good idea to read through them here. The first one's just a welcome screen. We're going to go ahead and hit next. Restore from a backup, we're not going to do that, so we just hit next. It looks like you haven't configured our access control yet, which is now mandatory, so please set up a username and password for the initial administrator account. We'll have access to both the printer and Octopi settings. So you can go ahead and put something in here. I would say at first probably just put your own name and maybe the Raspberry password, just so it's easy to remember. Raspberry, then do it again. I'm just doing that all lowercase, and we hit create account. You can hit save, and that way you won't have to keep putting it in every time. I'm just going to forget that, and we hit next. Okay, anonymous usage tracking, that just helps them make it better based on crashes and stuff. I'm just going to hit disable that. And this is writing things to the Pi as I watch the lights flash here for a minute. So just give it time to do its thing. And I'm just going to hit next and see if it goes away. Yes, I did. All right, maybe we're going to enable it. Go ahead and hit next. This is if we were connected to the network, it'd give us some online connectivity check. It uses Google's server. We're not going to do that. So we will just hit next. I guess we won't. We'll scroll to the bottom and hit disable connectivity check. Now, if you were at home, you'd probably want to leave that enabled because then it would go out and allow you to test to make sure you can get updates and things like that. But since we're on a closed system in here, we'll just disable it and then hit next. Now this blacklist plugin, we want to enable that because if you get bad plugins that can cause damage, we want to leave that on. Otherwise, you can get people that put spyware and viruses and things like that, and this just helps filter some of that. Once it says it's enabled right here, we can hit next. Then our default printer. So at this point, I want you to name it your name so I know whose printer is whose. And right here, we're going to put Ender 3. We also click on the print bed and build volume. We're going to leave it as rectangular. We want it to start in the lower left. The options there would be the center, so we don't want to do that, or it'll start printing everything from the middle, or try to. It has a heated bed, so we'll leave that. And this is 220 by 220 by 250. Custom bounding box we leave unchecked, and we go ahead and hit next. That'll just give it kind of some prerequisites before it prints. Gives you some warnings that you shouldn't leave your printer unattended, and good luck. So finish. So this is the Octoprint interface. Now there are a whole bunch of different kinds of things that you can add to this, but you need to be connected to the network. So at this point, we're kind of stuck with just these basic controls. This one tells us what temperature. This one right here would work a webcam if we had one attached, and we don't, so it says it doesn't work. This allows us to see G code line by line as it goes through. The terminal gives us other options. So all these are kind of things that you'd have to have internet access to get to. This one right here is going to be the one that we're worried about the most right now. So that's the one we use. At this point, I'll leave my serial port auto, my baud rate auto, because that's going to be based on what the printer is able to do. You could leave it on auto. I think I'm going to go ahead and change it to 15.2. The profile is the one I set up already. If you want, you can save these connection settings and it's not going to ask you all that stuff every time. And we can auto connect every time we turn on the server. So I'm going to turn those on and connect, and we'll see what happens. Right now, it says we're offline. There's no candidates to test and no working baud rate combination. It took me a while to figure this one out, but it's not going to work until we connect it to the printer through a USB cord. So at this point, we've got everything set up so that if I connect it by USB cord and then turn on the printer, it should connect and allow me to send things wirelessly to it, which we will talk about in class and show you later. So congratulations. If you got this far, you're minutes away from printing wirelessly. You can go ahead and pat yourself on the back unless you passed out from sheer boredom. Then you better have somebody else pat you on the back.